Buenos días, estudiantes. Good morning, boys and girls. Today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a kind of Mexican folk art. And there's lots of different kinds of folk art out there, but the style that we're going to be doing is some tin art. And this is a real form of artwork that they do in Mexico. Folk art is art that's handmade, and it usually is very much tied to culture and traditions. And since we're talking about the culture and traditions of Mexico, we're going to be looking at some patterns that represent some cultures and traditions from Mexico. So I'm going to show you how we're going to start this project today, okay? I can't wait.
All right, boys and girls, so our final product that we're going to do after a few days is going to be a piece of tin. It's like metal. It's like a very thick aluminum sheet. And what we're going to do is we are going to emboss it, which means we're going to press into it to make it kind of pop out. And you may not be able to tell that from this picture, but it is kind of popping out of the page. And then we're going to add some color to it. Now, this is a really simplified version of what they actually do in Mexico. They oftentimes make utilitarian products like things like mirrors, or sometimes they're just decorative like sculptures or something like a wall hanging that would hang on your wall. But what we're gonna do is just make a sheet, but we are gonna use some of the same techniques that the folk artists use in Mexico. So because we cannot erase when we press into this and we might make a mistake, we are actually gonna start our design, whatever we have in mind first, with a pencil so that if we accidentally make a mistake, we can go back and erase it and kind of fix it just the way we want it. And then eventually I'm gonna show you how to take your design and transfer it onto your metal sheet. But we're gonna do that another day. What we're gonna start off with first is just a sheet of paper that's gonna be the same size as your aluminum sheet or your tin sheet that you're going to get. And you're also going to get, laying around the room, are going to be different examples of Mexican patterns. Now, Mexican patterns are inspired by Mexican culture. You might see like the way they dress, you might see some of like the plants that you would see around them, like cacti and then flowers and different things like that that they would find and be inspired with in Mexico. There's also some animals here. There's lots of birds. Here's another example of a bird. You'll see lots of hearts in Mexican folk art that kind of go along with more religious symbols. We're not going to go into all of the religious part of it, but if you want to use the hearts, you're welcome to do that. But what you're going to do is you're going to come up with either one symbol or one design, and you can kind of see like different ones and how they look. You're not going to trace them. I don't want anybody to put your paper on top and try to trace it. I really want you to look at it and try to draw it the best you can, and I would just break it down into shape. So I'm actually going to start with this image right here, and I'm going to kind of copy that onto my paper here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with this big one first, and that's kind of overwhelming. There's a lot of detail in that, so I'm just gonna focus on one shape at a time. I'm gonna start with these pink shapes, and I'm gonna put that onto my paper, and I'm just gonna draw it the best that I can. It can be bigger, it can be smaller. A lot of these are really small, so you might wanna make them a little bit bigger than you're actually seeing them. So I'm gonna start with that, and then there's two on the side, kind of at an angle. These two big petals, and it's not perfect. It's not exactly the way I want it, but that's okay. I can either go back and erase it, or I can just live with it. It's fine. And then I've got like two little small ones right here, so I'm going to draw the smaller ones off to the side like this. Okay, and that one's a little wonky. I don't like that one. I'm going to go back and erase it. That's the great thing about a pencil. If you make a mistake, you can just go back and erase and fix it. Okay. And then I've got this little part in the middle of the flower, and it's kind of like three parts. It goes like this, and then one big one, and then one little one, and it comes to a point at the bottom. And I'm gonna draw my petals all the way to that middle shape so that they're all kind of connected like a flower, like this, okay? And then I'm gonna do the yellow places here, and I'm gonna fill that in with the yellow ones. And these are a little fatter than the ones that they are here, but that's okay because it doesn't have to look exactly the same. This is just to help kind of inspire you and give you an idea of some things that might be found in some of the Mexican folk art or like the patterns that they use, okay? So I'm gonna keep working on this. I'm gonna speed it up a little bit to give you an idea of what it might look like when you're done. Okay, so I have completed here my design, and I didn't go exactly off of what I saw here. I added a little sun up at the top, and I did a few things different. So you don't have to copy it exactly like this, and you can use different things. You don't have to stick to one design. You can copy different ones, or if you like something from this one, you can add it to this one. There's no rule on this, but you do want to kind of use this as a guide. We don't want to make things that are not related to what we see on here. So I don't want to see any like soccer balls or anything like that. We want to keep it that it's traditional Mexican art, but you can use and mix up any of these ideas here that are on your sheet. But when you're finished today, you're gonna take your artwork and you're gonna flip it over. You need to write your name and class code on the back. Remember, our class code is your teacher's initials and your grade, and then you will circle that, and we will take a picture of this today in Seesaw so that we can turn in our progress. And I will show you next time how you're gonna use this design to turn it into your 10 art, okay?